It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNRNetwork websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Oh, there goes another one. And another one. And another one.
What are you doing?
Counting the leaves as they start to fall. It's time for fall. There's another one. Oh, and here comes Snoopy to start blowing them up in the air.
You do realize we're in New England and there's going to be a lot of leaves falling.
I know.
We could be here a while.
Push all at once, too. Yeah. It might be this year. This summer's been something else. And now, as we head into Labor Day weekend, that officially marks the fall season for movies. Mm-hmm. And on this special edition of Subject Cinema, we've got the fall preview. Our top 20 picks plus a few extras. And it's going to be Front Row 5 and 10 style, where we just do our lists and let you know what's going on. And we'll have complete coverage and give you the complete calendar later on in the show. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be fun. Right here, right now, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Stick around for our fall preview edition.
Right here on Subject Cinema.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Lasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
It's fall.
It is?
Well, meteorological fall. Actual fall won't happen for 3 more weeks, but it's fall. Movie fall, too.
Yes, it is.
And it's Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 580, our fall film previews, day and date, Saturday, September 2nd, 2017, the first of our triple threat weekend. We got 3 huge shows. Tomorrow, our final drive-in summer show.
Yep.
And Monday, Labor Day, the 2017 eCinemaOne Rising Stars Honors. Don't miss those, as they'll be coming up every day, midday.
Very exciting.
How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. Talking a lot about movies this week because we had to do
are.
this special, and it's going to be a lot of interesting things.
Definitely.
The way we're going to do this, I suppose, should I play the Front Row 5 and 10 music?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We're going to do it Front Row 5 and 10 style. That show will be coming back later in this month, or actually probably early October. We're going to do 5 movies a segment, 4 segments, our top 20 films we're most looking forward to this fall. Mm-hmm. Now, our Bible, as usual, Entertainment Weekly's Fall Movie Preview, 128 films, 127, actually, scheduled between September 1st and December 1st. Mm-hmm. Now, we want to encompass the fact that one of the movies in the thing has already been pushed back, I believe. I can't find it, but I read somewhere where it was being pushed back to February. We'll talk about that later. Also, this does not include necessarily everything. The Fall Film Festival circuit starts today also. This weekend is Telluride. Toronto starts on Thursday, the 6th, and We have New York and a couple other ones. Fantastic Fest yet to come. Mm-hmm. And quite often, 20 or 30 of those films will get mixed into the films that are already here. Now, there are several of them already scheduled that are showing these festivals, but there are several more that are not. So some of those might be really good, and we just don't have access to them because we're not doing the festivals movies here. We're doing the confirmed stuff that's supposed to be coming out.
Right.
Alrighty. So, without further ado, let's get started. Our top 20 films we're most looking to during Oscar bait season, the fall of 2017. Mm-hmm. What's your number 20?
My number 20 is a film about it's a true story of an actual historical incident that I was actually alive for, but don't remember because it happened when I was very, very small. My number 20 is Mark Felt, the man who brought down the White House.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. Showing for a change that I can actually pay attention to serious movies and actually
You can pay attention to serious movies. You've got a lot of serious movies that you like.
Well, but you're always saying that you're the more political person, which is true.
Yeah, and I have no interest in that film, so it's like, okay.
See, I would think that would be, well, I guess not, because you
No, it's just that it's been told like 3 times before.
Yeah, but I've never seen any of
Not
those.
quite this way, but
I've never seen any of those.
Okay.
I've never seen All the President's Men
right.
or any of that other stuff.
Right.
Dealing with the man that some people say was the mysterious Deep Throat.
No, he came out as Deep Throat before he died, so.
Yeah, he said he was Deep Throat. I mean,
there's confirmation that he was Deep Throat.
Okay, well, the whispery voice that helped to bring about the whole Watergate scandal and caused the resignation of President Richard Nixon. All of this stuff I don't remember, even though I was alive for it. I do know Richard Nixon's name was not spoken in my house.
Well, of course not. You're all Boston Democrats up here.
Yeah.
You're all part of the Kennedy clan.
Nixon was... I didn't even really know who Nixon was until my dad, flipped his shite because Ford pardoned him.
Right.
I was like, what's a pardon and who's Nixon?
Mm-hmm.
But Liam Neeson is playing Mr. Felt in the film, so that should be really interesting. I love Liam Neeson anyway because I think he's awesome. So my number 20, Mark Felt, the man who brought down the White House.
I've got a number of films on my top 20 that I do want to see, but I'm not planning to see in the theater. They're the types that either won't come around here, but I will watch them probably or try to watch them on demand or on screeners. One of those is at number 20, and I think Kim will be surprised to find out what it is.
Okay.
Number 20 is My Friend Dahmer.
Yeah. Actually, I am kind of surprised that's on your list.
Ross Lynch as the teenage Jeffrey Dahmer, set in his high school years and starting to develop the penchant for blood and guts that he had when he was finally caught as a serial killer. I'm interested in this because Ross Lynch is one of those young actors that you don't normally think of taking on a role like this. He's best known for, what's the name of the show?
Austin
and Ally. On the Disney Channel, or as the usual lead singer of R5, the family band.
And also being a contestant on Dancing with the Stars.
Nope, that was Ryder.
Oh, sorry.
Ryder's the older brother.
My bad.
Ryder got screwed.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Sorry.
I'm just curious. He looks eerily like him in the picture. And like Alex Wolff, who's been taking on some really crazy roles, including Dzhokhar Tsarnaev in Patriots Day last year, after coming out of Nickelodeon TV. This guy's coming out of Disney TV, and I like him genuinely. I think he's a good actor, a great musician, and I'm curious.
I'm curious.
Number 20,
too.
My Friend Dahmer.
That's a really interesting choice. I mean, people tend to... I don't know what it is, but people tend to think that serial killers, people like that, just all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere. You never think this was somebody's son.
Right.
This is somebody's classmate. This was the kid next door for somebody.
Right.
And I think it will be really interesting to see what this film says about him and what it says about the nature of evil. So I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yep.
My number 19 is a film that I have a feeling I'm going to probably go to by myself. And I'll just have to picture Sam and Dean sitting next to me, I guess, to protect me.
Okay.
My number 19 is The Snowman.
Yeah, I'm not really jazzed about it. The trailer is actually laughably bad. So I'm like, anyway, I love Michael Fassbender, but there's certain things.
A mystery about a detective named Harry Hole who is investigating the disappearance of a woman whose scarf is found wrapped around an ominous snowman. The whole thing of it is this idea that this killer strikes at the first snowfall and leaves these little snowmen figures with his victims and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, the trailer creeped the living hell out of me.
I thought it looked really fake.
And I'm really, really psyched for this.
I'll go with you. I just not one of my favorite
also
ideas.
in the cast is Rebecca Ferguson, James Darcy, Chloe Sevigny, Val Kilmer, J.K. Simmons, and Toby Jones. So I'm really, really interested in this. My number 19, The Snowman.
My number 18 and my number 19 is a film that I have faith in the director.
Okay.
I like the director. Word of mouth, he showed it privately to friends as we speak, as we're recording this, last night. It's premiering tonight in Telluride. Mm-hmm. And it's got really weird buzz going around it. Number 19, Darren Aronofsky's Mother. Mm-hmm. All in lowercase with an exclamation point. Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem play a couple whose lives are turned upside down by the arrival of two mysterious strangers. Or two, I don't know.
They're new neighbors, I think.
Neighbors or something. The word of mouth has been really good. Anthony Bourdain said it was going to piss a lot of people off. Another guy said it was the weirdest film he'd seen since Clockwork Orange.
The word you used was shocking.
Shocking.
They said it was the
most
most
shocking film since
yes,
Clockwork Orange.
And when you think about Clockwork Orange and when that came out and the amount of people screaming, yelling, and clutching their pearls
we're
when
talking
that
almost
movie
50
came
years
out.
ago. So, yeah. The cast is great. Aronofsky is a fantastic director and writer and such. I'm used to his mind messes with Black Swan, which I loved, and The Wrestler is a great film too. And you saw Requiem of a Dream. I haven't seen Pi, but I'll give it a chance. Mother coming in at number 19.
Okay. My number 18 is something much lighter than the last two films that I've mentioned. And it's also a little different in the fact that it's a musical. My number 18 is The Greatest Showman.
I figured that would be higher on your list because of Hugh Jackman.
Well, I love Hugh. Don't get me wrong. I think Hugh is amazing and fantastic and wicked, wicked, wicked sexy. I'm just kind of not really sure about this material. I know he has a wonderful singing voice.
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic showman.
The Greatest Showman is the story of P.T. Barnum. It's the story of his life and how he becomes the person that is considered one of the greatest showmen of his time. I realize now, I know some people are going to be like, at the next thing I'm going to say. But the reason this is kind of low on my list is because I look back on the whole circus thing, and I have to be honest, it makes me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. The old-time circuses, the way they treated the animals, the whole concept of the human oddities kind of stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That just makes me kind of queasy.
Yeah.
And that's just me. That's not everybody else. Your mileage may vary. But it looks like it's going to be interesting, and it's, like I mentioned, it has Hugh Jackman in it, and I'm excited by that. The cast also includes Zac Efron, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Michelle Williams. It looks very, very polished. Mm-hmm. And fun. Mm-hmm. So my number 18, the greatest showman.
My number 18 is Marshall, the biopic on Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. Mm-hmm. Mainly because Chadwick Boseman is the star. I think he's just awesome. The story follows the case that brought him to national prominence and eventually led to his appointment to the Supreme Court by, I believe, President Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, making him the first African-American justice at the time. I think Channing, number one, I think Thurgood Marshall's story is worthy of telling, because he was...
Oh, yeah.
And the time he was he was doing all this was a time before the civil rights movement really got underway, and as a black man in the South, it was not easy being a lawyer and trying to do this case, and I think it's going to be a heck of a performance, in Chadwick Boseman's ability to carry things could carry him to an Oscar nomination.
That it could.
Number 18, Marshall.
Okay. Number 17 for me is, it's really interesting because I would have never put these two together in this kind of a film. I saw the trailer for it and I was like, okay, what do we take away from the trailer, boys and girls? What we take away from the trailer is don't ever, under any circumstances ever, have Jackie Chan be mad at you. My number 17, The Foreigner. It's the story of a businessman who is trying to get justice for his daughter who is killed during a terrorist act. He winds up in this kind of give and take cat and mouse relationship with a person that's a member of the government who may know more about this whole terrorism thing than he's letting on. Jackie Chan is the lead character, also starring Pierce Brosnan, Charlie Murphy, Michael McHelton, Simon Kurtz. I saw the trailer for this and I was like, wow. Jackie Chan is one of those people I will watch in anything because he is just awesome and amazing. And like I said, this film is one of those examples of what happens when a person is pushed too far. And when a person who is pushed too far is also a person who has, to quote Liam Neeson, a certain set of skills, there's going to be a shite ton of collateral damage. My number 17, The Foreigner.
My number 17 is a film that I'm interested in primarily because of the casting. Because it's another one of those films that I'll probably watch more than likely on demand or on a screener. I'm trying to think of how it's being described as. It's being described as a coming-of-age thriller with humor. The movie is called Super Dark Times. It's set in the 1990s when two friends are hanging out one day. There's a samurai sword involved. Something happens, and they cover it up, and it ends up destroying their friendship overall. Mm-hmm. The reason I'm interested is because I've never seen Owen Campbell play a really kind of weird character, although I know he ended up being a mass murderer, or at least a murderer on The Americans a couple years ago. Campbell was a rising star back in 2010 when he made his big movie debut in Conviction as Hilary Swank's son. And we've followed his career since then. He's a really brilliant young actor, and we've just really followed him from since then. Mm-hmm. He was also in another movie earlier this year called As You Are, which is on pay-per-view in some places on Vudu, which got rave reviews and an award at Sundance last year. I really think there was a great interview with him in Entertainment Weekly or People when that came out, and it's terrific. But it's one of those movies that's going to be a little too squishy for me at the theater. Super Dark Times, number 17.
Okay. Number 16 is something that I'm going to freely admit this is hearkening back to my childhood.
Oh boy.
Because this was something I remember at least I remember the source material from my childhood. And I thought it was very sweet back then. My number 16 is Ferdinand. Based on the children's story about Ferdinand the Bull, who is, your typical bull. He's, big and brawny and got pointy horns and could probably damage the hell out of a matador if he chose to, but he doesn't choose to. Ferdinand is all about flowers and just hanging out and being chill, which is great. You be you. But the problem is that the rest of the world has this preconceived idea of who Ferdinand is supposed to be. And it's up to him to let the world know, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing my own thing.
It actually has been made before as a short from Disney back in the late 50s or early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
What gets me on this is the casting.
The casting is, I was like, what? WWE superstar John Cena is voicing Ferdinand. Okay. Why not? I mean, he's built like a bull, so...
Yeah, he is.
I mean, it kind of would have made more sense if they got The Rock, Dwayne Johnson to do it, because the whole Brahma bull
Too
thing.
tough.
It's, it's the... Yeah, but it's
it has to sound mellow.
Yeah.
We all know John can sound mellow.
Yeah, that's true. And
I've never known Dwayne Johnson to sound mellow about anything. Just watch San Andreas, and you get the idea.
The cast also includes David Tennant, Bobby Cannavale, one of my favorite character actors ever. Love you, Bobby. Gina Rodriguez, David Diggs, Anthony Anderson. I just think this looks like a sweet movie. And I like the message behind it of, you be you.
Don't conform, right?
Yeah, you be you. If you want to go out and smell flowers, go smell flowers. Have fun. Go for it. Life's too short. So my number 16, Ferdinand.
My number 16 is the film that won the Palme d'Or at this year's Cannes Film Festival. And I know I'm going to be opening myself up to all kinds of criticism when we go see it and Kim hates it. But I'm going to be like, okay.
Okay.
It is a Swedish dark comedy set in the art world. It's called The Square. And
great.
Let me try to read if I can actually read the print here. I want to read the slight description they have here, and I still can't see it. I'm going to have to use the lamp. The Swedish satire from Force Majeure director Ruben Östlund. Force Majeure was a huge hit a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Co-starring Elizabeth Moss and Dominic West, won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. It's a satire of the art world in Sweden. We saw a bit of that in Yarn last year, remember?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I just can't... I think it sounds... Well, I've seen clips of it, and it's funny. Okay. So... and it is also the official entry from Sweden to the 2018 Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what's happening there. Number 16, The Square. We will have 15 more each
when Subject Cinema returns.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
PNR Network shows depend on our listeners. It's you that makes us who we are. Help us bring you all the best we can. Become a Patreon patron. Donations start at just $2 a month, and the more patrons we can get, the more we'll be able to offer. You can get great perks, plus exclusive blogs and podcasts available only for being a patron as well. It's absolutely fantastic. So please, become a Patreon patron today. We need you. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks.
If you're looking for great films, well, that's okay. You'll like us anyway. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. We're looking at the movies coming up this fall with our own top 20 each. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham, Subject Cinema number 580.
Yep.
Part of our triple feature weekend over Labor Day weekend. And we're up to number 15. What's your number 15?
Mm-hmm. Number 15.
Keep in mind there's 128 films coming out this fall, and at least. There'll probably be some added. And we've narrowed it down to our top 20 favorite ones we want to see the most.
Number 15 is a genre that I have to be honest, I fell into a couple of years ago. It's kind of a newer genre for me, but when I fell into it, I fell hard and promptly got hooked. the genre of urban fantasy has really sprung up over the last couple of years with great book series like Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, TV shows like Supernatural, and movies including
plug. Anyway,
and movies like this. My number 15, Bright. Which is a film that's set on an alternate Earth where creatures that are considered fantasy creatures, elves, orcs, things like that, and also actual magic is not hidden away. It's right there. People know about these creatures and people live and work and interact with them on a daily basis. A human police officer played by Will Smith has to work with an orc, which is a humanoid figure that's usually not on the gorgeous side, but usually pretty damn strong, played by Joel Edgerton, and they have to find a weapon that people are willing to kill and die to obtain. The cast also includes Numi Rapace, Ike Barinholtz, Edgar Ramirez, Jay Hernandez, and Lucy Fry. As I said, I love urban fantasy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works on the big screen. It's been done on the small screen.
You won't see it on the big screen.
Why not?
It's a Netflix film.
Oh.
You can see it on the big screen if there's an iPic theater near you.
Yeah, but I still want to see it. Hopefully someone around here will show it on the big screen so I get to see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool to me, but I'm a geeky little McNerdly nerd.
Yeah,
so,
it sounds right up your alley. I have no interest in it.
My number 15, Bright.
My number 15, we've already talked about. Kim already brought up. It's The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman in the story of P.T. Barnum. Mm-hmm. I think it looks great. It sounds great. They got a great cast, great music, from what I can see, and a lot of fun. Number 15, The Greatest Showman. We've already talked about it, so let's move on. Number 14.
Number 14 for me is a definite, I want to see this the minute it comes out, and nobody better get in my way. My number 14, Blade of the Immortal. Directed by Takahashi Miike, what?
Nothing.
Why are you looking at me like that?
No, go ahead. I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing anything about it, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Directed by Takahashi Miike, the person that brought the world 13 Assassins and also Audition, who is an incredible director and quite possibly crazy, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. Blade of the Immortal tells the story of Manji, who is a samurai who has been cursed with the gift, if you want to look at it that way, of immortality. Haunted by the murder of his sister, he knows that fighting evil will be the only way that he will be able to regain his soul. And he winds up helping a young woman avenge the death of her parents, which will lead to a showdown with an evil bunch of swordsmen headed up by a warrior named Anatsu. And if it's a Miike movie, you know there's going to be blood, fight, sword fight, blood, yay!
Oh yeah, I did see that. I'm sorry, I was thinking that was some anime. Okay, no, okay.
I am really, really excited about this. The cast includes Tayuka Kimura, Hana Sugisaki, Sota Fukushi, and Hayato Ichihara. So my number, what did I say, number 14, Blade of the Immortal. Pardon me while I rub my hands together gleefully and cackle.
Blood. You're worse than guys when it comes to blood.
It's sword fighting, man. Come on.
My number 14, I'm a little worried about. I mean, I want to see it, but I'm... The trailer has been bothering me, and the reason it's been bothering me is because the director is known for comedies. Good comedies, award-winning comedies, yes. But Thor Ragnarok better not turn out to be a comedy, or I'm going to be really pissed. You don't make a comedy out of the next Avengers cycle story. There's a takeover in Asgard. Thor ends up getting his hair cut and fighting the Hulk. and Loki is involved. That's pretty much the whole story.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's probably more to it than that, but anyway.
The trailer is so 70s. I mean, do you agree with me that the trailer, the way it's styled, the way it's the font, everything screams late 70s.
The font of the title is very 70s.
I hope that it's not played completely for laughs, because I think that would be a great blow to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it, and I like him. Yeah. As always, the usual staples are there. Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Mark Ruffalo, and a number of other people. Mm-hmm. So it's out in November. We'll see how it does. Number 14, Thor Ragnarok.
Okay. Going a different direction, a much more somber-looking film, although it does look like there's bits of comedy in it as well. My number 13 is Last Flag Flying. Last Flag Flying is the story of some gentlemen who had served together in Vietnam, and it's now 30 years on from that. And a man named Larry Shepard reunites with his friends Sal and Reverend Richard to bury Larry's son. His son was a Marine who lost his life in the war in Iraq.
This is actually kind of a sequel to Jack Nicholson's film The Last Detail, but it's been so long since they did those parts that Nicholson's obviously way too old to play the part again.
The cast includes Bryan Cranston, Steve Carell, and Lawrence Fishburne. I have to be honest, the trailer had me sitting there blinking back tears and, huge lump in my throat. Mm-hmm. I love Bryan Cranston. He is one of my favorite actors. And I know a lot of people love him for comedy, and I know a lot of people love him for Breaking Bad. But this is the kind of part that I like seeing him in, something like this. And also, I have really grown to like Steve Carell, which is weird because I don't like his comedy stuff for the most part, but I like his dramatic turns. Mm-hmm. And Lawrence Fishburne is one of my favorite actors. I loved him on CSI. I wish his character...
You didn't stay with it very much. I know you left after when Ted Danson took over.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a really beautiful, moving film. Mm-hmm. My number 13, Last Flag Flying.
Okay. My number 13 is the only documentary on my list, and I've been looking forward to this since it premiered. I think it's South by Southwest originally. Might have been Cannes or Tribeca. If you know music from the 70s and 80s, then you know the name Clive Davis. Clive Davis was the head of Arista Records for more than 30 years. Clive Davis is responsible for the success of acts from Barry Manilow to Whitney Houston and everyone in between. There is now a documentary about Clive's career called Clive Davis, The Soundtrack of Our Lives. And it has a lot of exclusive interviews with Clive. Got rave reviews. I think it was Tribeca that it premiered at when the reviews were associated with the festival. And being a fan of music and a music lover, I've followed, I remember the one battle Clive, Roger Friedman wrote frequently about Clive Davis, especially when he was moving between labels and stuff in the early 2000s, and chronicled the war between Clive Davis and Kelly Clarkson, because Kelly Clarkson wanted to do rock. So we let her, and it failed. Mm-hmm. or so they say. It actually was a gold album, so it didn't fail. But it wasn't as successful as her pop stuff, so, and it's a shame because it's a damn good album. Clive's fatherly influence has influenced 4 decades of musicians and artists, and I can't wait to see this. Clive Davis, The Soundtrack of Our Lives, number 13.
Okay. I have to do something before I see number 12 on my list.
Does it involve duct tape?
No.
A trip to Spain?
No.
Okay.
If it involved duct tape, I wouldn't be saying that in front of a microphone with you recording it.
Oh, sure you would. We don't hold anything back from our loving listeners.
We do if it could get us indicted or something. Not that I've done anything wrong.
Anyway.
I have to be perfectly honest. I'm really ashamed of myself, and I know some science fiction fans out there are going to want to hit me in the head with a brick. I have never seen Blade Runner.
Oh, I haven't either. I've been able to stomach it.
I am deeply, deeply, deeply ashamed of that fact. So I need to rectify that and watch it before I see number 12, Blade Runner 2049. A continuation of the Blade Runner universe. It's the story of a young man who is another Blade Runner, a person that retires replicants. Ryan Gosling plays Officer K, who goes to look for a former Blade Runner, a man named Rick Deckard, who has been off the grid for the last 30 years. It looks amazing. The trailer just had my mouth just hanging open, and 50% of that was Ryan Gosling, granted, but I gotta be me. What can I say?
Yeah.
It looks incredible. As I said, I really need to see Blade Runner first, and I'm so sorry I haven't seen it yet. Please don't hate me, sci-fi community.
I haven't seen it either, and a lot of people say it's way overrated, so.
My number 12, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah. Denis Villeneuve is the director of that, right?
Yes.
And Dave Bautista's in it also.
Yes, Dave
I didn't realize when I read an interview with him today. I didn't know he was
Jared
in that.
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Robin
Actually,
Wright,
I would like to
Harrison
see it,
Ford.
and I'd like to see the original, but it's not high on my list. Number 12, however, is, loved the first one, can't wait for the sequel. And I'm sure it's on her list somewhere, too. I'll be surprised if it's not, because even though she dragged her heels going, she ended up loving the film. My one drawback about this is one particular cast member, and you know that going in from me. Number 12, Kingsman, The Golden Circle, which reunites Taron Egerton, Colin Firth, and Mark Strong from the first film, and adds an American unit headed up by Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges and Halle Berry. I let you sucker me into Logan Lucky, even though Channing Tatum was in that film.
I know.
And boy, did I pay for it. And this one, hopefully he won't have that big of a role. And because I kind of liked him in what was the Coen Brothers film? Hail Caesar. I kind of liked him in Hail Caesar. And it was like, that was different. This movie is just basically the same film as the first one. They are fighting another organization that is trying to take the Kingsmen completely out. And so they put on their suits and their ties and their snazzy glasses and start trying to bring things back, and then head to America, which has their own version of Kingsman. I've forgotten the name of it. Statesman. And it looks interesting. It looks great. And I love the first one, so I'm assuming the second one will be just as good. Number 12, Kingsman, The Golden Circle.
Okay. Number 11 for me is going to be really interesting because I will be honest, I don't know terribly much about this man. I know I love his books. I know his books have been, his one specific book has been part of my life for a very long time, but I have to admit I don't know a terrible lot about the person behind the book. So this should be interesting to see. Number 11 on my list, The Man Who Invented Christmas. The Man Who Invented Christmas is the story of Charles Dickens, the man who gave the world Bleak House, David Copperfield, Great Expectations, and the book that really got him going as an author, A Christmas Carol. Up to the point when A Christmas Carol got written, he had already written 3 books previously, and they all bombed. So things weren't looking really good until A Christmas Carol came along. And not only did A Christmas Carol win him a lot of acclaim as a writer, but it changed the way people viewed Christmas, which I think is really interesting because we think of Christmas as this big, enormous event, you know, and for some people it's a big, enormous retail event.
It's Clearance Day!
You know, you people know who you are. But not to sound sniffy, but, for other people...
Too late?
It's... All right, fine. But for people who understand the real meaning, it should be a deeply personal, time of reflection and a time of joy, And I'm really interested in seeing this film and seeing what got this man to write this story. Mm-hmm. Also, it's just a simple fact that I love I love the people in the cast, including Jonathan Pryce and Christopher Plummer, who will be playing Ebenezer Scrooge in scenes that are going to be, part of the book. And I could watch...
That'll be great.
Christopher Plummer is one of the most amazingest actors ever, Star Crash notwithstanding. So my number 11, The Man Who Invented Christmas.
That's right, he was in Star Crash,
Yes, he was. And no, we're not going to let you forget it, Mr. Plummer, sorry.
He was also in Counter-Strike.
I know.
From USA TV a few years ago. Number 11, again, we've already talked about it. I can't wait to see it. Ferdinand. I really think this is going to be hilarious just because John Cena as Ferdinand. This is going to be hilarious. I'm like, okay. There's a lot of interesting animated stuff coming out, but not all of it is mainstream. Ferdinand is one of those that is mainstream, and it's probably going to be one of the biggest hits of the Christmas season.
Hopefully, yeah.
Number 11, Ferdinand. We have our top 10 to go.
When Subject Cinema comes back looking at this fall's movies.
Welcome to the soundtrack of your life. You're listening to Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm T.C. Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
We've got the films you're looking for. Subject Cinema with TC and Kim.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema. I'm TC Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 580. We're halfway through our fall preview of movies hitting theaters. These are our top 20 things that we want to see the most. And we'll also have a few other things of interest later on. And it's going to be fun to talk about the stuff that's coming up because we're in our top 10. What's your number 10?
Number 10 on my list is another one of these. I think you can tell a lot about a film from a trailer, and not so much like plot points and stuff for me. It's just how the trailer makes you feel. And if a trailer makes you almost burst into tears, that's saying something about a film. Mm-hmm. My number 10 is Goodbye, Christopher Robin. Goodbye, Christopher Robin is looking at the life behind the man who created some of the most enduring characters in literature. Winnie the Pooh. Yep. Winnie the Pooh and Friends were created by the author A.A. Milne, and the stories were inspired by his son, C.R. Milne, whose name was Christopher Robin. It's the story of how, these characters were thought up at a point where people needed, this is after the First World War, and people needed to be happy again, just be happy about the simple things in life and the simple joys of life. And it just, the trailer, like I said, I'm sitting there going, I'm not going to cry. Yep, there's that first tear. The cast includes Margot Robbie, Domhnall Gleeson, Kelly MacDonald, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Stephen Campbell Moore. And I do have to say the little boy that plays Christopher Robin when he is a child is just the sweetest looking little kid. I just think he looks so dear and sweet. It looks like such a lovely film. Just one of those kind of feel good, make you cry but in a good way films. My number 10, Goodbye Christopher Robin.
My number 10 is the first of two that I'm going to bring up, and there are 3 films with the same word in the title coming up in the next 3 or 4 months. This is the one that has just that single word. It's called Wonder. It's the story of a 10-year-old, and this is the way they put it in the publicity, with facial differences attending public school for the first time. Jacob Tremblay, who I just adore, is playing the young boy. He suffers from a condition called Treacher-Collins syndrome, and this syndrome, if you've seen, the adult version of it, although it's not the same syndrome, was Mask. There's different stuff going on with the face, and they're putting it in all the publicity stuff, which I think is ridiculous. Because with Mask in the 1980s, part of the selling point was we don't get to see Eric Stoltz's character until you see the film.
Right.
So it's like, okay, this character is, the makeup job is phenomenal. Julia Roberts plays his mom, and it's going to be one of those 10 hanky films. But it's going to be really, really good. It hits on November 17th. Wonder.
Okay.
Number 10.
Number 10 for me is...
Number 9?
Number 9, I'm sorry. Number 9 for me is, this is something that I actually was alive when this happened. But I don't remember it. Because, once again, I was very, very young. In 1973, there was a tennis match that captured the attention of a lot of people. Not me, because I was too busy playing with toys.
I didn't think you were interested in this film. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm interested because I've heard these names over and over and over again, but I was like, I don't know what this is about.
You can find the actual contest on YouTube, too.
Yeah. My number 9 is Battle of the Sexes. Battle of the Sexes tells the story of the tennis match that went down between one of the greatest tennis players ever, Billie Jean King,
and one of the biggest male chauvinist pigs ever, tennis player Bobby Riggs.
Yeah.
I watched it live. We watched it live when I was a kid. I was like 8.
All I know really about this whole situation is that Elton John got a song out of it. Philadelphia Freedom.
Well, not quite that. I mean, it's for Billy, but it's not directly from that.
It's not directly, but I think it had something to do with it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've seen the trailer for this, and I was sitting there utterly gobsmacked. I was like, did this really happen? Just like this? Because I'm like, how did this guy not get the crap beat out of him?
The same way that the guy, whatever his name was giving Penny Chenery all that crap when Secretariat was running. Same time frame. Women should be in the house doing dishes and making babies.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, Riggs, who is not with us any longer.
No.
Oh, there are words. There are words.
And I'm sure we'll hear quite a few of them when we go to see it.
One thing you're going to hear a lot of when we go to see this movie is this sound.
Yep. Yeah, had a feeling.
And a lot of...
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, no, you didn't. Kind of head movement. And I'm going to tell you this now, Zucchini. You better be nice to me after this movie. You better be.
Is this another Asita Sings the Blues?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a feeling this is going to be one of these. Any guy that looks at me cross-eyed is going to get, is going to get injured.
Right.
So my number 9, Battle of the Sexes.
With Steve Carell and Emma Stone.
Emma Stone is Billie Jean King. Steve Carell, as you mentioned, is Bobby Riggs. The cast also includes Elizabeth Shue, Bill Pullman, Andrea Riseborough, Alan Cumming, Chris Parnell, and Martha McIsaac. So that should be interesting.
My number 9 is a film that I'm very interested in, just because I've always been interested in the character he created. The story behind the character and behind the person is now coming to the big screen, and it's going to be one of those kind of things that's probably going to upset Middle America.
Yay!
But it's... No, not yay! Not everybody in Middle America, just those, select few who get their panties in a bunch up about stuff like this.
Yay!
Professor Marsden and the Wonder Women.
And we have a tie.
It's number 9.
Number 8 on my list.
Mine's number 9.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so
my number 8 is Professor Marston and the Wonder Women.
It's a really interesting portrait of Charles Moulton, the creator of Wonder Woman, and the two women in his lives, his wife and his mistress.
Yes.
And it also gets into how the early issues of Wonder Woman were kind of sexist in their own way, even though they weren't supposed to be. And there was a lot of bondage involved in these in these comics.
Oh, yeah.
The trailer is like, wow, I can't believe they're going there. And I'm like, okay. Who's the cast? Do you have the cast list up?
Yes, the cast includes Luke Evans as Dr. William Moulton Marston. That was his true
full name, right.
Yeah. Rebecca,
who is from, by the way, Kim's hometown of Saugus.
He lived in Saugus. I'm not sure he grew...
that's where he was when he created the character.
Yes, which, hey, people who live in Saugus, get that statue built. How come other places can have statues of Superman and we don't have a statue of Wonder Woman? Rip off.
Yeah.
Also, the cast includes Rebecca Hall, Connie Britton, J.J. Field, Bella Heathcote, Maggie Castle, and Ali Gallerani.
Terrific cast, too.
Yeah, amazing cast.
So my number 9 is Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Your number 8.
My number 8, Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman. It's...
Oh, actually, that's 4 there's 4 movies with the word wonder in them. I totally forgot about this one.
It's an autumn of wonder.
It is. Wow.
I pretty much can't say anything more than what TC said. As we mentioned, I mean, there were a lot of things about Wonder Woman, the comic, when it came out that, there were quite a lot of bondage scenes. There was a lot of talk about loving submission, in the comics and stuff like that as a form of rehabilitation.
Right, yeah. And that's where that all comes from.
And that really wigged people out. I mean, when people got a hold of that stuff, they were like, what? But I can't wait to see it because it looks like it's going to be a really awesome film. Wonder Woman is one of both mine and your favorite comic book characters.
Yes.
So it should be really interesting to see how this works out. Mm-hmm. So my number 8, Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman.
My number 8 is a very intriguing film. If you've never seen the trailer, you should watch it because it'll make you really stand up and take notice because I don't think there's going to be anything like this. There hasn't been anything like this ever, and I don't think there's going to be anything like it in the immediate future. And it comes from the incredible creative imagination of Guillermo del Toro. The number 8 is The Shape of Water, which, on your list?
No.
Really?
I
swear I thought this was going to be a big one for you. Sally Hawkins as a mute woman who discovers and falls in love with a top secret experiment, a creature from beyond the sea. Mm-hmm. The trailer is amazing, and it's getting incredible word of mouth. And I can take Del Toro or leave him. Sometimes I like his stuff, sometimes I don't. I think this is going to be a really interesting film.
Okay.
I'm surprised it's not on your list. I figured it would be on your list somewhere. Number 8, The Shape of Water, coming out in December.
Number 7 on my list is based on a classic novel, which I have read and loved. It's been done before on the big screen with an all-star cast. It's being done again with an all-star cast. And I actually know the story, and it's an actual mystery that I actually know the ending to.
Because you've seen it and read it.
Because I read the book. Hopefully they'll leave everything as is. For number 7, Murder on the Orient Express.
Well, we already know that isn't true. Take a look at Hercule Poirot and his ridiculous mustache in this film.
I know. I know.
Greta did not get that right, for sure.
No. Based on the classic Agatha Christie crime novel, Murder on the Orient Express tells the story of Hercule Poirot, a British detective extraordinaire. If you don't believe it, just ask him. Traveling on the famed train with a multi-level cast of people. One of the people comes to Poirot and asks for his help because he believes someone is going to do him harm. As it turns out, he's right. The rest of the film is about trying to unmask the murderer and Poirot using his little gray cells to figure it out. The cast includes Kenneth Branagh, who is also the director, as Hercule Poirot.
That is one of the strangest casting jobs ever.
Johnny Depp is also in the cast. Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley, Willem Dafoe, Penelope Cruz, Marwan Kenzani, Josh Gad, Dame Judi Dench, Lucy Boynton. It looks like it's going to be very interesting. However, it would have been higher on my list, except for the fact that I was sitting there seeing stills from the film first and then the actual trailer, going, what in the F and F have you done to Hercule Poirot? I have seen this character played by Albert Finney,
Yuck.
Tony Randall, Peter Ustinov, and of course the incomparable We're not worthy,
David Suchet.
David Suchet was, in my opinion, Hercule Poirot.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
And I will fight anybody who says otherwise.
My mother didn't care for his portrayal. My mother liked Peter Ustinov better. I love Peter. I love
your mother, but she's wrong.
I like Peter Ustinov, but Suchet, right on the nose. Definitely.
The one thing that makes Hercule Poirot is his mustache, or mustaches, as he would say. Because it was kind of small and precise and very much him. The mustache that Branagh's Poirot has makes him look like Buffalo Bill Cody.
It looks like he has a poodle on his face.
Like I said, Buffalo Bill Cody. I'm like, what the F? But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So my number 7, Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, that's didn't make my top 20.
I'm not surprised. You looked like this is leaving me completely flat.
I hated the original film.
Yeah,
I thought Albert Finney sucked as Hercule Poirot. I know it got like 11 Oscar nominations, but it's like, ugh.
I didn't think he sucked. I just didn't think he was the best choice.
He was terrible.
Okay.
My number 7, I mean, it's just one of those films that you have to see. We have to see it because we love the characters. Most of the other fanboys out there have to see it so they can tear it apart, because that's what they're going to do to Justice League. This is the first big get-together of the DC heroes on the screen, with Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Ray Fisher as Cyborg, Ezra Miller as Flash, J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. Mm-hmm. Who am I leaving out there? Henry Cavill as Superman. Is there another hero I'm leaving out? No. Oh, yes. And Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and what's his name as Alfred? Jeremy Irons. I love Ezra Miller, and I will go see anything he's in. But I think this is. I think what I've seen really looks good. Mm-hmm. Of course, everybody is like, there's already rumors. There have been rumors that haven't stopped, but a few weeks ago, there was this big one put out by, what a surprise, Batman on Film, who are notorious at really wrong material, who were out there saying that, insiders are saying it was unwatchable. They said the same thing about Wonder Woman 6 months ago. The same exact thing. And they were proven wrong. And everybody who has looked into this unwatchable said that meeting never happened. In other words, they're flat out lying, trying to destroy the film. So I'm sorry. Don't give me that garbage. Don't give me that fake news. Let's take it on what it is and see if they can pull it off. Knowing Warner Brothers, they won't be happy with it anyway, because they have their head up their butt when it comes to the DC universe. Obviously, we're going to talk about that later in the weekend, probably. I gotta go off on Warner Brothers after the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. But until then, I'm looking forward to seeing Justice League number 7.
Okay. Number 6, once again, it's, the whole idea of a trailer inspiring emotion, and even if you're not really sure what the film is about at first, but it's what it makes you feel. And I'm not going to lie about this one. This trailer flat out made me cry. And
oh boy,
made me want to.
You got a lot of emotional stuff on your list.
Hello, estrogen boobs.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's not enough bang bang and shoot 'em ups on your list as usual.
Well,
And superhero stuff. Anyway.
We're not up to the top 5 yet.
I know.
Duh. My number 6 is Coco. Oh man, this movie is gonna kill me.
You're in trouble when the trailer makes you cry.
Oh yeah. Coco is the story of a young man named Miguel who wants to be a singer, and a musician, specifically guitar player, and winds up somehow.
Specifically a mariachi guitar player.
He wants to be, he's a young Latino man and he wants to play Latino style music, and somehow winds up in the land of the dead. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Latino culture and stuff like that, we're not talking some like zombie kind of thing. It's
what's celebrated on the Day of the Dead.
Yes, the Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, which is a Latin American and Latino celebration.
Most people know it from the beginning of Spectre.
Spectre, yeah.
Yeah.
Where people honor their relatives who have passed on. He winds up in the spirit world and needs to get back because he's not dead.
No.
And that can be kind of a problem. The voice cast includes Benjamin Bratt, Edwards James Olmos, Gael Garcia Bernal, Cheech Marin. It just looks so beautiful. I mean, the colors.
Did we mention this is the new Pixar film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The colors in this film, in just the trailer alone, I was just like, my eyes are going to start bleeding because this is just way too much color and my brain can't take it. Mm-hmm. It just looks like a stellar film. My number 6, Coco.
My number 6 is going to get me something thrown at me from across the room, but it's just, there are other films higher on my list. I like it, and I'm very much looking forward to it, but it's not quite my top 5. My number 6, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I know. I know. I honestly came out of Rogue One considering that the best Star Wars film ever made. I loved Rogue One. And I like The Force Awakens, and I'm interested in seeing this. It's going to be kind of sentimental. This is Carrie Fisher's final appearance as Princess Leia.
Yeah.
But it continues the story of Rey and Finn and emo Kylo Ren and all these other people.
Don't get pippy with someone that has a lightsaber and a very short fuse.
And only one arm. Oh no, that's his character from Logan Lucky. Sorry, I love Adam Driver. Don't get me wrong. I think Adam Driver is one of the best actors on the planet right now. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, as you know, I'm more of a Trekkie than a Warsy. I enjoy Warsy stuff, Star Wars, but I've never been as steeped in it as you and Stacy are.
Yes, I know.
And I am looking forward to it very much. Number 6, Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Okay.
When we come back, our top 5.
When Subject Cinema returns.
No film is too good or too bad for us. This is Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema.
Hey guys, welcome back to another week here on Subject Cinema. We're looking at upcoming movies for the fall that we're interested in. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham. This is the first of 3 parts coming at you, bang, 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 each night this weekend. Mm-hmm. And we hope you'll stick around for Drive-In Summer's final episode on Sunday.
Yeah.
Day and date, September 3rd. And our Rising Stars list for 2017 on Monday, Labor Day, September 4th.
Yep.
Right now, we're counting up our top 20 films that we're most interested in seeing that are coming out this fall. There's 128 of them right now, and there could be more when Toronto and Telluride get done, and Venice and all these other ones. There'll probably be another 20 or 25 films inserted in here. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go. Top 5.
Okay. Number 5 is a film that, if you had told me somebody was going to make a movie like this, I think my very first reaction would have been, why? Wasn't the first movie the one it was based on? Wasn't that enough pain? What are you trying to do to us? But when you have a movie as bad as the movie that was based on, you really want to know who was responsible. My number 5, The Disaster Artist. Yay! The Disaster Artist, based on the book of the same name, is the story of the making of The Room. Now, we have mentioned The Room on the show over and over again, because if we have to suffer, so do you.
There's no suffering at The Room. It's just too funny to suffer at. Really. I think it's hysterical.
It is, but it's also so jaw-droppingly awful.
It is, yes.
That you sit there and you're like, sweet mother of all that is decent and holy, what were these people thinking? This movie purports to portray what people were thinking. Specifically, what was going on in the mind of director, actor, I believe he wrote it too.
Writer, producer,
Tommy Wiseau. Wiseau. Played in this film by James Franco.
Who also directed.
Who directed this film. Oh boy. Just the fact that we're going to have to go through scenes again from The Room is enough to make me go, where do I sign up for the Purple Heart? Because we deserve a Purple Heart, we deserve knighthood, we deserve sainthood for going through this again willingly. The other people in the cast include Zac Efron, Alison Brie, Zoe Deutsch, Lizzie Kaplan, Bryan Cranston, Kristen Bell, Adam Scott, Seth Rogen, Dave Franco, Jackie Weaver, and a bunch of other people. The Disaster Artist. My number 5. Oh, I'm really scared.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. My number 5 is, I really wasn't familiar with this property until I saw the Red Band trailer when it came out in March, and I'm like, oh my god, this is both thrilling and funny and scary at the same time, and the critics just went ape over it. And I'm not sure if it's a true story. I think it's based on, there's some basis for reality in it. I don't think it's actually fully true. But I'm very curious to see what happens in the film because the trailer is awesome. The film is 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and stars Frances McDormand as a tormented mother who is fed up with the non-action of the police trying to find the person who murdered her daughter. So she hires a billboard company to put 3 demanding billboards up where the cops have to see them and the people in the city have to see them every day. The cops are not happy about it, and so you get a lot of anger from the mother and the chief of police. Frances McDormand is the mother. Woody Harrelson, the chief of police. Caleb Landry Jones, the gentleman that does the billboards for her. It is getting rave reviews, and I've been interested in it since I first saw it. I can't wait to see it. 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. Definitely got Oscar buzz going for it too.
Okay. Number 4 on my list is a film you've already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Oh wow, that's up high considering I had to drag you to the first film.
Yes, you did, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with Taron Egerton. I think he's a really terrific actor.
He is, yeah, he's awesome.
Wicked.
He was number 2 on our Rising Stars list.
As we mentioned, as TC mentioned earlier on, the Kingsmen are besieged by a villain out to destroy them, and they team up with the Statesmen, their American counterparts. I think it's interesting that the Kingsmen, all of their code names are knights based on, King Arthur and all that stuff. And the Americans, the Statesmen, all of their code names are based on liquor. Channing Tatum plays Agent Tequila. There's another Agent Whiskey. I just think that that's funny. I also think it's interesting that one person that's back for this film who was in the last film is Princess Tilda, who was played by Hannah Alstrom. Princess Tilda was the young woman that Eggsy, the character played by Taron Egerton, she was rescued by him and very grateful for the rescue and offered to do it in the...
yeah.
So she's back, apparently. So apparently Eggsy was pretty good at doing it in the... My number 4, Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
My number 4 is a film that strikes me as innovative and also risk-taking while still being an accessible family film. And you don't see that happen from Todd Haynes very often. Todd Haynes is best known for movies like Carol, and they're usually, meant straight for adults.
Mm-hmm.
This film is an adult film, but I think it's also going to appeal to all ages, and it is one of the 4 films with the word wonder in the title, Wonderstruck. I didn't mention earlier Wonder, the film we talked about at number 10 with Jacob Tremblay and Julia Roberts, is directed by Stephen Chbosky, the author and director of Perks of Being a Wallflower, so that's another reason it's on my list. Number 4, Wonderstruck was a big winner with the critics at Cannes when it premiered. And everybody has had Oscar buzz from it since then. It's set in 2 different time eras, in the 1940s and the 1970s. In the 1970s, a young deaf boy is grieving the death of his mother and is trying to find out what his life is all about when he finds something that leads him to finding out stuff about an event or people in the 1940s. And so they will cross back and forth, the 40s stuff in black and white, the 70s stuff in color, which I find really crazy. Julianne Moore playing 2 or 3 different parts, and the brilliant Oakes Fagley from Pete's Dragon in the lead role. I cannot wait to see this film. It has been talked about so much, and I just think it's going to be one of the big winners of the winter.
Okay.
Although it may have a confusing storyline, so you might want to make yourself familiar with it before you go. Number 4, Wonderstruck.
Okay. Number 3 is, once again, a film TC's already mentioned, Justice League. I am extremely interested in Justice League for one reason, and his name is Jason Momoa. I don't really care if that makes me shallow. I don't care.
You're shallow.
I'm shallow. Yeah. I don't care. It's Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which means Jason Momoa, at least in one scene, will be wet. And he'll
be wet in all the movie in Wonder Woman and Aquaman next year.
And he won't be the only one.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Family show.
All right. Although the rest of the cast is really amazing. Gal Gadot, who just blew both of us away as Wonder Woman. Ben Affleck is back as Batman. I cannot wait to see Ezra Miller's take on The Flash. Simply because I adore Ezra.
Not to be confused with Grant Gustin's version of it, because they're not in the same universe.
No.
And Grant's excellent at it.
Yes, he is. It's going to be... I'm sorry, I have completely blanked out on the name of the young man that's playing.
Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher, thank you. I wanted to say it was... I knew it was Ray, but I couldn't get the last name. Ray Fisher as Cyborg, and it was announced this week, for the first pictures have come out of Ciarán Hinds as Steppenwolf. So the
it
bad
wasn't
guy.
announced this week. People knew that because there was a bit of it.
The first picture.
Oh.
You know.
Well, there was footage from Batman vs. Superman, but it was only on the extended edition. So
I'm looking forward to it. Screw the haters. I don't care. Just give me a shirtless Jason Momoa and I'll be happy. As the song says, I gotta be me.
Yes, and that's certainly you.
My number 3, Justice League.
My number 3, I can't believe was that much lower on your list.
Okay.
I have just been dying for this film, and I can't wait to see it. My number 3 is Coco. I literally started bawling the first time I saw the trailer, and I'm going to be a puddle. Pixar movies do that to me. Damn it, anyway.
Yeah, I know.
WALL-E, Up, Inside Out, all of them.
Well, we both started crying during the short before
Finding
Inside
Nemo
Out.
and Finding Dory. They all, they do that to you. They do that to you.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about how bad the short's going to be with Coco, because if we're already crying at the trailer, the short's probably going to kill us. As Kim said, it's about a young boy who wants to be a mariachi musician, but for some reason, music is banned. Being a musician is banned in his family, and he ends up getting thrust into the world of the dead and goes exploring about why it's banned. It has a stellar voice cast. Amazing animation, as always, from Pixar, and it's going to be very close to my heart, I have a feeling. Number 3, Coco.
Okay. Number 2 on my list, which I know some people are going, just get to it. We know it. We know what it is already. Thor Ragnarok.
Oh my God! Really? That high on your list?
Yep.
Oh, you shallow person, you.
Why? Why am I?
Because that's all you're looking at is Chris Hemsworth, and no, actually more Mark Ruffalo.
No, it's more Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
Although I will be the first to admit the short hair kind of I was like, what my world is tilting. What is happening? I just, couldn't deal with that.
He probably got sick of wearing the wig.
I was like, no! Thor can't not have long golden locks. I have to picture.
I can't say that I'm not going to like this film, but I'm worried because Taika Waititi, who is one of the best comedy directors on the planet, according to everybody that's seen his stuff, it just makes it look like they're playing it for laughs, and that irritates me.
I don't think they are. I think it's going to have some moments of humor in it, which, considering the fact that Age of Ultron and even more, Captain America Civil War was so grim for the most part. I think a little bit of levity would be useful.
Yeah.
I also like the fact...
I thought Ant-Man was for that, and so was Spider-Man Homecoming, which we still haven't seen.
I also like the fact that the Hulk actually has lines. You know, he's not just...
He's evolved into the talking Hulk.
Yes.
Which is good.
And that makes me happy, because Talking Hulk is one of my favorites, because I I heart the Hulk. I don't care. I want to hug him. I just think it looks like it's going to kick ass. I'm sorry. So my number 2, Thor Ragnarok.
My number 2, I gotta say, this is strictly one of those films that I read about and then I saw the trailer and I'm like, wow. It's not one of those films that's going to be in the mainstream. You're going to have to look for it. If it even comes to your area, chances are good it probably won't get out of the top 20 markets. But I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like. Even though it premiered at Venice over the last few days, and some critics have loved it and other critics have kind of not liked it, it's very mixed, and I want to make up my own mind about a unique new animated film called Loving Vincent. This film is about the life of Vincent van Gogh and why, within a span of 6 weeks, he suddenly went from normal to crazy enough to kill himself. Nobody can figure out what happened. The thing about this film, it's not normal animation. It's animation completely done in oil paint. Mm-hmm. In the style of Vincent van Gogh. This is going to be a really interesting film to me. I love the concept idea behind it, and I think it's. I know it's coming to Boston in October. I already got the thing about it from the publicity thing, so I can't wait to see it. And I have a feeling this is definitely a big screen excursion.
Oh yeah,
just because of the way it's going to look. I don't know where it's opening yet because they didn't tell me, but I'm assuming it would be Kendall Square or possibly the Museum of Fine Arts, but we'll find out. Number 2, Loving Vincent.
Okay.
I think it's going to be an interesting film. And I think, if you're a loyal Subject Cinema fan, you can probably figure out what each of our number 1s are. I've already said hers, and she's already said mine. What's your number 1?
For anyone who would actually have any doubt of what my number 1 film of the fall is...
It's it, isn't it?
No. I actually would have another question for you. I'm sorry, have you met me? My number 1 most anticipated, want to see it right effing now film of the fall, Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Even though you're dreading what happens.
I want to see this movie.
Come to the dark side.
I want to see this movie, even though if what may happen,
I will hurt them if they do that, because I will never be able to keep you calm enough ever again.
I'm thinking.
Do not destroy this woman, people.
I'm planning on just bringing a roll of paper towels.
Just remember, Rian Johnson was the director of Brick.
I know.
That's a scary thought right there. Anyway.
I mean, I'm prepared to be dazzled and have my eyes full of incredible space battles and all kinds of amazing stuff. I am also dealing with the fact that I know there might be a very good chance that I'm going to have my heart ripped straight out of my chest and thrown on the floor and stomped into red pudding.
Please promise me that it won't get so bad that I have to take you to the ER.
I make no promises.
Oh,
picking up right where The Force Awakens left off, we're dealing with Rey learning from the Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker, learning the ways of the Force, learning to control her power, because she obviously is very powerful with the Force, and the other members of the rebellion or the Republic, Poe, Finn, Princess Leia, all of those folks, still dealing with the First Order who want to spread evil throughout the galaxy.
And actually, we should probably refer to her properly as General Organa.
General Organa,
which is how she's referred to in these films, not Princess Leia.
Everyone's back from almost everyone's back from The Force Awakens.
I don't see Han Solo anywhere.
You're a dick.
Stop force choking me.
I realize it's a family show, but stop being such a Richard. So my number 1, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I am looking forward to this with a heady mix of, complete anticipation and sheer blind terror. So that's fun.
I'll be there to hold your hand.
I know.
Just don't break it, okay?
I make no promises.
You better, because if you break my hand, there's going to be a problem.
I know. You'll just have to be there to hold my hair back when I'm in the bathroom crying so hard I throw up. So
I can't go in the bathroom with you. It's a girl's bathroom. Stacy can go with you, and you can hold her up when she's doing the same thing. Anyway, I'm sure all of you know what my number one is, because she's already mentioned it, and I've been talking about it for the last year.
Because I was beginning to wonder if this movie was ever going to come out. It was like Bigfoot. Everyone talked about it, but nobody'd seen it.
What are you talking about? They showed it at South by Southwest.
Yeah, but I'm saying up until that point, everybody kept saying, it's going to be so great, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, when is this movie coming out? Sometime before 2030 would be nice. And here it is.
Okay, how's your breast cancer?
Tactless, yet rude.
She doesn't really have breast cancer. It's a reference to The Room. Yeah. The Disaster Artist, number one, James Franco's homage to Tommy Wiseau's The Room, which is actually only the last third of the film. The first 2/3 of the film is about the friendship between Tommy and Greg Sestero, the young man who plays Mark in the film.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah, but who cares about their friendship? We all want to see the train wreck.
Because the book is about their friendship. The book is hysterical. If you've never read it, you should. Greg put together this amazing book, and it's really the basis for this film. There are some weird casting in this film. In addition to Dave Franco, James' younger brother, as Greg, which is just weird casting, and James as Tommy Wiseau himself, there's also Seth Rogen as the script supervisor, Josh Hutcherson as Philip Haldeman, the character that played Denny, Jackie Weaver plays the lady that plays Claudette, the aforementioned breast cancer woman, and Sharon Stone plays super agent Iris. I've forgotten her last name. She's Greg Sestero's agent. I can't wait to see this. What I've seen, the trailer is hysterical. It's a recreation of the famous "I did not hit her. I did not. This is bullshit." Blah 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 blah. Oh, hi, Mark. Anyway, and it's take after take after take. Some enterprising kid, less than 24 hours later, put up a Legoized, shot-for-shot version of the trailer that's hysterical. Mm-hmm. Franco is amazing, and they're saying he could get an Oscar nomination for this as a actor. What frightens me is the fact that doesn't this whole project mean that Tommy Wiseau could show up at the Oscars? That's terrifying to me. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the signs of the upcoming apocalypse. I'm really thinking we need to call the Winchesters, because it sounds like that definitely sounds like a sign of the apocalypse.
The sad thing is, Tommy's fighting a documentary about the fandom of The Room called Roomful of Spoons. He's giving them all kinds of crap. I know, because we're Kickstarter backers. And he's like giving them all kinds of crap, and yet Franco finally got him to sign off on this. I find that amazing. Hopefully, it will be a success when it comes out. It's opening in New York and Los Angeles on December 5th, and 2 weeks later, nationwide. So it should be very interesting to see. And he stayed in character the whole time he was directing. So he could actually direct his movie about Tommy Wiseau as Tommy Wiseau.
Ow.
The Disaster Artist, my number one film of the fall. When we come back, we're going to have a quick look at some other films that didn't make our top 20 that we just thought we'd mention because they're Oscar buzzed or they're stuff that's out there and that we have interest in, and a couple that we're not terribly interested in. They're going to be huge. And we'll have those
when Subject Cinema returns.
The best movies! Subject Cinema!
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
Your every man's film school. This is Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema's Fall Movie Preview. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 580, our first show of our Labor Day weekend 2017.
Mm-hmm.
We got some other movies that are of interest that we thought we'd bring them up. We weren't necessarily making our top 20, but they are out there and we're aware of them. The biggest one of the fall, and probably it's going to be big even though we have no real interest in it, is the film, the big screen version of It, Stephen King's book. We're neither one into that. No. You thought there was an epidemic of clowns last year?
Yeah.
It's going to be like living in the Purge this year.
Don't even joke.
I'm not joking. It is.
I think Stephen King is an amazing author, and I've enjoyed some of his films that have been, adaptations of his books.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the trailer for this, and I was like, ha 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 ha! No.
Yeah.
F that.
It's not our kind of movie.
No.
The movie based on Gerald's Game hits Netflix in October.
I am interested in that. Gerald's Game was an amazing read.
Carla Gugino and Bruce Greenwood, the stars of that. That's a Netflix original. American Assassin is coming out later this month. It's Dylan O'Brien as a programmed killer. Bruce Willis is also in it, I believe, and a few other people.
Michael Keaton.
Huh?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Home Again has me interested strictly because of the premise of this. Reese Witherspoon has broken up with her husband, played by Michael Sheen, and starts taking in boarders, specifically young male boarders, including one she becomes romantically involved with.
Yep.
Again, isn't that Dylan O'Brien in that one too?
I'm not sure.
Plus Nat Wolff and a number of other people. The trailer is funny as hell. If the movie is as good as the trailer, I don't know. Stronger with Jake Gyllenhaal, another story based on truth out of the Boston Marathon bombings. Jake is playing one of the survivors and getting great reviews. Could be a big Oscar potential. The Star is a new animated film about the night of the birth of Christ, as seen from the animals in the area. It's basically a retelling of sorts of the Nestor of the Long-Eared Donkey or the Night the Animals Talked. Number of different animated specials in the 60s and 70s. Downsizing, which was actually got huge buzz until they showed it yesterday, is the new film from Alexander Payne. It is actually getting mediocre reviews, which everybody was like raving about the idea behind it. It's about a couple played by Matt Damon and Kristen Wiig who agree to undergo shrinking procedure and move into this shrunken, what do I look for? A town, basically, in effort to help try and save Earth and the environment and stuff like that.
The whole idea is that smaller people will use smaller resources.
A couple of critics tore it apart, and I'm like, wow, you don't see that with Alexander Payne films usually. I mean, The Descendants.
I'm sorry, didn't they do that in an episode of Super Friends?
Yeah, and a number of other things too.
Yeah.
Dr. Shrinker and what was the name of the Dr. Cyclops, the big old movie. Anyway, except this one's comedy, and it's I don't know, maybe the buzz is gone now after it opened in Venice last night. I do until I don't. The new comedy from writer, producer, director, star Lake Bell. Lake is one of the most underrated people on the planet.
Yes.
Most people know her from Children's Hospital, I think, on the Cartoon Network. But
more people should know her from In a World, because more people should have seen
In a World was dynamite. She wrote, directed, and starred in that, too. She's only 35 or so, and she's been... she was on the Rising Stars list a few years ago. The best-known part she probably has is in It's Complicated, where she plays Alex Baldwin's new wife, Agnes. She is drop dead funny in that too. I love her as an actress, no matter what she plays. This one I'm looking forward to. It is out actually this weekend as we speak in limited release, so definitely check that out. The Florida Project, another film that's getting a lot of critical reviews, with Willem Dafoe, expected to be a big hit this summer. The movie that's getting really tons of buzz from Cannes that I'm not sure of is a movie called Call Me By Your Name. It actually may have been I think it premiered at Sundance, but really premiered at Cannes. About an 18-year-old boy from America living in Italy who gets involved in an affair with a new, older, I think he's an architectural student, who moves to the area. People were raving about the performances, and Armie Hammer is the star of it, and I don't know. I have to see it first. It's on my of interest, but not my top 20. Mm-hmm. Darkest Hour, also getting good word of mouth from some people. It will premiere in Toronto. Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. Yeah. The one thing on my also of interest list that is may or may not be, and we talked about this earlier, is The Current War, which is not the current war, it's the current war. You got to pronounce it.
Current.
Well, no, but it's spelled the same way. But I'm saying the emphasis has to be the current war instead of the current war, because it's not about a current war. No. It's about currents, electrical currents. Right. The film is about the battle between Edison and Westinghouse, Thomas Edison, George Westinghouse, about which current is going to work.
Yes.
One of them was working on AC, the other one was working on DC.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Benedict Cumberbatch is Edison.
Yes.
Who's playing Westinghouse?
George Westinghouse is being played by Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon?
Yeah. Nikola Tesla.
That's odd casting.
Nikola Tesla is in the film, played by Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, goody. Okay. Anyway. The problem with this movie is, although it is stating that it's coming out in November, I read last week, I believe it was on Deadline, that the film has been pushed back to February. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. As of last week, I saw that somewhere, but it may be out in November as it was scheduled. So before we go on, in our show notes, rather than bore you with them, we're going to have the complete calendar week by week, listing all of the releases. We're not going to give you any, title. You'll have to figure out which titles you want to see and such. But they'll be there so you can take a look at them, and we'll try to link them to the movies, so you can take a look at all of the films coming out this fall. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of good stuff coming to Toronto and New York that could enter the play there. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it won't be too bad.
No, I think it'll be really interesting.
Let's run back up our top 10.
Okay. From 10 to 1 on my list, that would be Goodbye, Christopher Robin, Battle of the Sexes, Professor Marston and the Wonder Women, Murder on the Orient Express, Coco, The Disaster Artist, Kingsman, The Golden Circle, Justice League, Thor Ragnarok, and Star Wars The Last Jedi.
My top 10 are Wonder, Professor Marsden and the Wonder Women, The Shape of Water, Justice League, Star Wars The Last Jedi, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Wonderstruck, Coco, Loving Vincent, and The Disaster Artist at number 1. Mm-hmm. We both figured out each other's number 1s easily, because we both know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
On part 2 of our weekend special, join us for our finals drive-in summer show. That will be up on Sunday, September 3rd, as we're putting this up. We're going to go over and recap quickly some of our drive-in salutes from this summer. Our topic, drive-ins at the drive-in. Mm-hmm. And we'll also talk about a few things other going on in the world. I might slip the Warner Brothers stuff into tomorrow's show. We'll see, and see where it goes. We also are getting ready to get some other stuff underway, as always. Mm-hmm. Kim is prepping for the fall as Platinum Rose's Garden. Yep. Will be coming back in about 6 weeks
or so
with a new season. We also have Anthony, Aunt B, and Pee Wee out there with Comic Grotto. at comicgrotto.com. Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon at cavebabble.com. Our shows are all available from here on our eCinemaOne website. That's Subject Cinema, Front Row 5 and 10 when it's in production, and our 2 mini shows, 3 Minute Weekend on Fridays with all the new movie releases, and Tuesday Digidex on Tuesdays with all the home video releases.
Yep.
And the Catastrophe Vortex will be returning sometime in the near future. Now, we do want to remind you that next weekend, Subject Cinema will be off. That is Sunday the 10th. We will be off. And then we will return as September rolls on and try to catch up on some of the movies that we've skipped during drive-in summer. And hopefully we'll be talking about more stuff going on, the festivals upcoming, and a lot more. We hope you won't miss us that 1 week while we're gone. Mm-hmm. And we hope you'll enjoy the next 2 shows, our drive-in summer show and the 2017 edition, the 13th annual edition. Wow. No, 12th annual. Is it 12th annual or 13th annual? Rising Stars Honors. And there's a lot of good people on this year's list.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right, we are going to get out of here then. For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be better.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
We'll see you at the movies this fall.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.